Mark Wardell, coming to you again from the Freedom and Virtue Institute in our series of videos for young entrepreneurs. Today we're going to do crochet, and we'll show you a simple beginning way of doing crochet that you could either do in a long length to make a scarf perhaps, or in the case of what we'll teach you today is we'll be making squares. Like this square I'll have Miss Linda hold up while I get the camera to come in closer. These squares are approximately 9 inches wide by 9 inches tall, and they're made of yarn just like this, and a normal kind of yarn. And Miss Linda will explain to you in a moment that you begin this, as in the top row here, with 30 stitches known as a chain, and that would be also termed 30 chain. And then it goes down about 27 rows, counting that initial chain, to get your 9 inches in length, and the 30 stitches across gives you the 9 inches in width. And then we will be, perhaps we'd get one more white one, Miss Linda, to put beside this to show how they go together here on the table. So Miss Linda will then get very busy making. How many do you think you're going to need for this entire blanket once 30. It's all made? 30 of these squares will eventually be sewn together, different colors. Here we have orange and white, to make a blanket, and that will go on your bed, and as an extra blanket to keep you warm. Could you show us a blanket you made for one of our sons when he went to college? Okay, so this is different. It's not made of squares, but this is one blanket that's made by crocheting in an entire length and breadth. Put it up on the table, Miss Linda, and we'll talk a little bit about the different type of crochet that so this is what we call single crochet, and that's much more easy to do than this blanket was, which has, perhaps you could show us a corner where we can see that it's got a border around it. Just hold it up like that, and you can see that it's got a border around it with a different pattern of crochet to the middle part. And this is using what's called treble crochet, the technique for making this blanket. And there's another one Miss Linda's working on right now for a friend of ours who's just had a baby, and this will be a baby blanket, and she's making this mostly out of what's called double crochet. Again, hold it up like you did the other one, perhaps back further so I can get it all in the camera. And this will go on a baby bed. It's not quite finished yet, but we're just showing you, and perhaps you could show them the different kind of yarn that's more difficult to crochet than the regular type I showed you before. But this comes in different colors, as you can see, and balls like that, and you end up with this very, very soft to the feel, to the touch, this is, and it's just beautiful for a baby blanket. So these are the kind of things you can do with crochet. So without further ado, let's begin to make another square that Miss Linda can add to these two, and then 27 more to make a blanket. And so we're going to show you today how to begin with the chain of 30 stitches, and then add to that lengthwise by doing what's called single crochet. So Miss Linda's chosen the next square to be this blue color, and so I'm going to go behind her so that you can see from the point of view of how you would do this to make this square. Could you teach them, Miss Linda, how to begin? Perhaps I'll start over your left shoulder here. Alright, so Miss Linda's right-handed. She's going to hold the crochet hook in her right hand. Show them the hook and tell them a little bit about where you get these supplies, Miss Linda.
I think mine came from Joann's. You can get them from Michael's. You can get them from Walmart. Anywhere there is crafts. Now, when you buy your yarn, there's always a little piece of paper that goes around it, and somewhere on that you will find a little thing here which will tell you it has bulky written on it, and it has a number 5. So it's telling you how thick your yarn is. I'm using the bulky because it's easier to show you. You can get very fine yarn, and you can even get it thicker than this. Also, it will tell you what size crochet hook. Here it is on here. It says US, meaning the US, the United States of America. It's a J at 10, and if you look on here, it also says 6 millimeters, and if you look on here, it says J 10, and it also has the 6 on there. If you have it too fine, you'll be if this is too small and you're using this thicker yarn, it's going to be very difficult. So it helps you.
So what talks about the hook size?
Here it is here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm talking about the size of this hook. You were just saying if you have a smaller needle with thicker yarn, it's not going to hook very well.
No, it is not going to hook very well.
So let's just have a look at, there's the hook that does a lot of the pulling of the stitches. And what does the 6 millimeter refer to, do you know?
It's probably the diameter here.
Okay, the diameter of the hook, which the diameter of the stem, which also relates to the size of the hook. All right. So where can they buy yarn, Miss Linda?
Same places. Craft stores.
Craft stores.
You can also
such as Joann's.
Joann's, Michael's, Walmart. Okay. You can also get yarn online.
And does it come in a ball like this, or did you make that ball?
Oh, I made that ball.
Okay, so could you show us how yarn can come? There's a white, let's say.
You can get very large balls of yarn.
Okay,
but
so
this is called a ball, even though it's not round and looks like a ball.
Let's turn it this way. So this is big twist. Is that about the same thickness as the blue that you're talking about?
Pretty much. It's also got 5 written on it and bulky, so it's supposed to be the same thickness.
All right. So that's on the outside. So you take something like this and you roll it up into something like this. Is that how you do it?
I did, because this one was actually in a big length, about this long, and then they had twisted it, and then they had kind of put one inside the other. So it was a big long thing, so I needed to be able to wind it up like this to be able to use it.
All right. Thank you. So that's a bit about yarn and a bit about the hooks and where you can purchase them, the information that comes on the hook and on the yarn, so that you can get the right hook size for the right thickness of yarn. All right, so now Miss Linda, could you teach them how to begin by making what's called the chain in crochet?
Well, first of all we need 1 stitch on our hook. So this is the way I make my first stitch.
Okay, let's do that again, just slowly. So
I wind it around my thumb like that.
All right,
and it's like a little cross.
It probably matters which way you wind it around your thumb. So let's do that again. You've gone over the top of your thumb to start with, then round underneath and across the top there to make a sort of an X on the top. Now what do you do, Miss Linda?
I am going to put my hook through here.
Okay, so you put it through the back of your the wool or the back of your thumb,
and then
which is the upper right hand stem of the cross.
And then I'm just going to put my yarn around there and pull it through.
All
and I've
right,
got my
so
first
we need
stitch.
to do that again very slowly, Miss Linda. Let's start again. Show them where you roll the hook around and which piece you loop back through very slowly. Around the thumb, make an X, put it under the right hand stem, Then
I'm just bringing...
Okay, so the yarn right now is under the hook. The long piece of yarn to your right is under the hook. You're going to put it around the hook and then pull it through. Okay? And tighten it up. One more time, Miss Linda, because this is the very beginning of how you begin a single crochet chain. Okay? Put it through the right stem. Bring the yarn under the hook, up around the top of the hook. Now, which piece are you hooking back through? It's the bit that you've just looped over the top, isn't it?
Yes, it's this. Let me take that out again.
Mm-hmm.
It's this.
That's right. It's the long piece that loops around the top. Okay.
So it's through there.
Yeah, under the crochet needle, and then that piece then is pulled through, and then you pull that tight. Now that is called what? One chain?
One stitch.
One stitch of the chain, okay?
Now, crochet is just a series of loops. It's all loops.
Okay.
Now, a chain that do not pull this tight, because we're going to be coming back and wanting to put our hook through these chains that we're going to make.
All right, now wait a second, because you're getting ahead of us. Just let that start with it elongated, not in your hand, and tell us which part now are you going to hold on to?
This is our tail. We're going to forget about that now.
Forget the tail. All right, so you're going to, let's put the whole ball of wool or yarn on the left hand side of our body. And now you've got your left hand holding it as Miss Linda has, and now what's the next thing you do?
We're just going to make a chain. Now you know what what normal chain that you buy in the hardware store, well, this is it's going to look like that.
Okay.
Now, way I hold it like this.
Okay, so you have actually picked up the tail.
Well, it's only because I'm just holding it at the moment, because otherwise it's just going to go all over the place. So I'm just holding it, just to keep it.
Can you hold it in your right hand?
No, because I need my hand to hold the hook.
Okay, so she's really dealing with this part of the yarn here, which is the long chain from the ball, but she's just hanging on to this to keep it under control. Okay, now what do you do?
Now, all I am going to do is take my...
Wait a second, go back. So we're going to bring the hook in front of that, take let the hook gather the thread, and then pull it through.
And you've made one chain.
And you've made one chain.
And then we're going to do another one.
Okay. So, do you see?
And
just
another
go
one.
very
It's just
slowly.
a series
and
of
let's have a look at this after you've finished
chains.
this one. Okay, right. See
Here's
how
our
it
chain.
looks? It looks a bit like a chain. Now, I'm going to ask you to undo
No, I'm just going to keep going.
Those four and start from the very first one again. Just let them come out, because we've got to... so there's how it was at the beginning of the last teaching. Now she's going to bring the hook over the top of the thread. Do that again very slowly. Oh, and under. Now pull that through. And just now, this part's critical to the tension of the chain, isn't it? How tight you pull that next stitch up against the first one. No, don't do a second one. I'm talking about this tension in here. Can you describe that?
Very loosely.
Very loose. Don't pull it too tight. Okay.
Otherwise, this will be too tight across here, and we will not be able to get our hook back through there so that we can make this.
All right.
It may sound complicated now, but you will see.
Don't pull it too tight. Okay, now wait a second. So now that we have one chain, now we're going to, which is one of those loops on top of the initial knot. Now we're going to come over again, over the top, under, pull the stitch through, two chains. Okay, and just pull it loosely. Let's have a look how that looks so they can get a sense. It's not very tight, okay? And the next one, over the top, pull the hook through and pull it loosely, and now we have 3 chains. Over the top, loop, pull it through, 4 chains, not too tight. Over the top, through, 5. Alright, I'll just let you keep going on so they can watch what you're doing. I'm going to come round the other side of you. Just pause there so we can see that from the other side, just in case it helps people. Can you see all right, Miss Linda?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so see, she's going over there like that. Let's see the chain now, Miss Linda. It's growing longer and longer. How many do you have now?
I think it's 10.
10, but you can always count them if you're not sure. So we're a third of the way along one chain of 30 stitches, called a 30 chain. Under, under. Alright, let's have a look at that now, Miss Linda, as it's growing. Alright, have you got any idea how many you have now?
I believe it's 20.
20.
See, it's just a series of loops.
Is that 27?
Yes.
29, 30. Now let's just count them to make sure that you've got 30. Miss Linda's counting up the chain. It's quite easy to see each link in the chain. How many, Miss
30.
Linda? Let's see the chain laid down on the table from this angle. It might be easier. There it is. And that is the beginning row of all of the squares that Miss Linda's going to make. Let me have that orange one, please. We could put that alongside here. Well, let's put the tail on the same side as this tail is. And alright, so is this the chain?
Yes, you can. Well, it's under there.
Well, that's
okay,
the chain.
it's just that that's on that side. So
okay.
It's really that way, but you can see it there.
Can you see the chain here? That was the beginning. Turn it over a bit more this way. It's a little easier to see. So there's the very beginning chain of the orange, and here it is now in the blue. So let's see what we do next. Do you have 30 chain there, Miss Linda?
Yes.
Alright, so what do you do now that you've got the very first row, as it were?
We count back to the third chain from the hook 1, 2, 3.
Alright, so from the end of the 30 chain you count back 3. I guess it's to chain 27 then, is it?
Yes.
And now what do you do?
We're going to go through that chain,
All right,
through the middle of
through the
chain.
middle. Now notice there are 2 strands sitting on top. So she went through the chain so that there are 2 strands on top. Turn it over again. Let's see those 2. Now what do you do?
We
wind it around the yarn that goes to the ball.
And just pull it
And
back
pull
through
it back
that.
through that third chain.
And you'll find you have 2 stitches on your hook. We're going to get another loop and we're going to pull that through both.
So first you went through the third chain back from the end, and pulled and looped it round the yarn and pulled it through one of the loops that were on the needle.
Now we're going to just do...
Wait a second, then you went around the yarn again and pulled it back through both loops that were on the needle. So now we're about to do the second.
Well, we're going to do one chain, just like that.
One chain.
Now we're going to miss...
Can you do that again, please? Take that one chain out and start from the end. Okay, so after doing those two movements, we do one chain. So we just roll it around, pull it through.
And that one chain is just like one of these long ones.
Just like one of those. So now here's what it looks like. No, hold it. No, around this way. That's better, so that they could see there are two lengths coming out. One is the chain, one's the yarn wool, and there's a loop over the needle. Now what do you do, Miss Linda?
We're going to skip one chain, and then we're going to go through the second one.
So now, rather than doing a 3 chain, just hold it there so we can see, you're going back from the conglomerate to 2 chains.
Yes, all the way along here we're going to go into every second chain.
Except for the very first one, which is the third one. Is that right?
Which was the, yes, and that was because we are moving up a row. And we need some more stitches. We need that extra stitch to be able to get up.
Okay, so just wait a second while we make it clear. So when you've finished your 30 chain and you're about to do the second row, you count back 3 chains to begin the second row that Miss Linda's just demonstrated. But from now on, she's going to go every second chain. Okay, so put your crochet needle through the second chain from the end, and again we've got 2 strands. 2 strands on top of the crochet hook. Good. Now you go around there and pull it through one of the loops. Now another loop and pull it through both loops. Very good. And you're just, with your fingers there, you were just controlling the tension a little bit, right? Pulling the stitches to the exact tension you want.
Well, if I don't hang on to it, then I have trouble working with it because it just needs to be held.
Yes, but I'm talking about how tight you're pulling all of this.
Oh, yes, I'm not pulling it very tight at all.
Not pulling very tight, but evenly. Yes. Everyone's the same.
Okay. By me hanging on to, I actually have the yarn, just holding it loosely with my fingers like that. So that helps. Just keep that tension.
All right, let's do the second double chain back.
So we're going to the
second chain. 2 on top. Show them the 2 on top.
Oh, I do my 1 chain in between, like that. Now the second one, I go.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, so we missed something. So we have to do another chain stitch after every one.
Yes.
Okay. Can you go back then? Just. So this was the end of the first double. Now Miss Linda's got to complete this this part of each stitch with another chain, and there it is. Now we go back 2 more. Show them the 2 strands on top. There it is. Now loop and pull through 1. Now we do a loop and pull through 2, and now a chain stitch. Excellent. Now come back through 2 more. Loop back through one of those, and now a loop, go through both, and a chain stitch. Now through the second one back. The next chain, 2 chains back, around, through both, and a chain stitch. Now go really slow for this next one and the 3 parts to the step, please. 2 more back, through. Let's see the 2 strands on top. Okay, now loop the needle around, pull it through 1 strand, loop it around again, pull it through 2 strands, and finish with a chain stitch. Okay, good. And come back 2 more. Push it through the chain, loop it round, pull it back through 1, take a loop, pull it back through 2, and a chain stitch. Okay, good. Through 2. Alright, now let's count the 3 motions to each one again carefully. First, go through the 2nd chain, a loop around, pull it through 1 of the loops on the needle. Now loop it round, pull it through both loops of the needle. That's part 2, and part 3, a chain. Okay, you count them as you go, Miss Linda.
Okay. So it's
1. She pulled it back through 1. Now a loop, pull it back through 2, and now a chain. Okay, let's go really slow and just make sure we talk about these 2 loops up here. Okay, so through a double, 2 chains back, loop it round, pull it through. Now you've got 2 loops on here. Almost, go ahead, pull it through. There's the 2 loops. Okay, now she's going to loop it around the needle and pull it through both of those loops on the needle, and then do a chain. Alright, let's do it again. First the 1, through the double, loop it round, pull it through 1 loop, loop it around, pull it through 2 loops, and a chain. Alright, can you talk that through, Miss Linda?
alright, 2nd chain from your work.
We've got two strands on top, loop it round, pull it through 1 of the loops on the needle. Now loop it round, pull it through both loops on the needle, and now do a chain. Very good.
Yeah, as we said,
How many
just,
are left?
not many.
Just 2 more probably. Okay, through the 2nd one, loop it through 1, and now through 2, and the chain. And now what, are we up to the end?
Yes.
Yes. So we're now at the end of the 30, going through the very last, or the very first chain we ever made. Around, pull it through 1, loop it through 2. Do we do a chain here?
Well, we're going to do 2 chain.
2 chains at the end of the 2nd row.
Now I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because here we are, we've done that row, 2nd row. We have to get up here to be able to go back here. So we really need to do 2 chain to get up there. So we need to do 1,
2. Now you what? Turn the whole thing around and pull the end of the wall of the square out to the left this time.
Now we're going to go back again.
And we're going to go back. And how are you going to go back here? 3 or 2?
Now, as you can see, when we did a chain, every time we did a chain, we made a little gap here. And
we need to see that a little more closely. Let me come round the other side and you show us those gaps where each chain
there was a chain. The chain we made, it made a little gap. It was where we had skipped
See
a
Miss
chain.
Linda's finger sticking through each one.
And that is where we're going to put our hook.
So you go through the little gap that's underneath the chain stitch of the previous row as you go back down.
And if you can see, like there's a little stitch here, you're not going to go in there, you're going to go in the gap between them. Don't know if you can see that stitch there. It's like 2 little
So
things.
it's almost a stitch that goes vertically straight up. Is that right, Miss Linda?
Yes.
So there's this one here,
Yes.
That's going straight up. Is this one going up? Or
Yes.
Yeah. There, there, there. You're not going to go through where these vertical stitches are, correct? You're going to go through on this side of them.
You're going in between. These two little vertical things are one stitch. And you're going to go in between. In between
All right,
them,
so
because
where's
that's
the
where
first,
your gap is.
Where's the first one?
Right here.
Okay, so how do they find that? They're looking for what?
Well, here's the first two, the first stitch on the last. You can see the two that are going up, the second two that are going up. So it's in between. So we just put our hook in there,
In the hole.
and we just do exactly what we did in the last row. We put a hook through.
Now we've got 2 stitches on the needle. Loop
And then
around,
we-
pull it through.
There.
Both of them.
Yeah, see,
And then
so now you can see we've just made the 2 little verticals
for the next
for
row.
the next row.
Okay.
Now we're going to do that chain, which is actually making the gap
For the next
for
row.
the next row.
Okay.
And then we go in.
Wait on, show them how to find the next. So you're going to look for the 2 vertical stitches and then go right through here just to the left of them, which is also to the right of the next 2 vertical stitches.
So
right in the middle of the vertical.
It's in between those 2 stitches. And so put the hook through, bring a loop through.
Now we've got 2 loops on the crochet hook.
And we're going
Make
to bring
a loop,
another
go
loop
through both of them and do a chain.
And then we do the chain.
Alright,
Which is now creating that space that we need for the next row.
Okay, so let me see. Here are our next 2 vertical stitches, right?
Yes.
So we're going in here.
That's right.
Alright, which is before these 2 vertical stitches.
Yes.
Round and pull it through, and now we've got 2 loops on the crochet hook, so we do a loop through both of them and a chain stitch. And let me come round the other side, Miss Linda, so they can watch you do that now down this row.
Right.
Okay, she's found her gap, pull it through
the 2
and a chain.
And then a chain.
So count those 3 steps each time. Show them the 2 verticals that you're going on the other side of.
So there they go, they're the 2, through the gap.
Through the gap.
1 loop, through the 2 stitches, and then through another, in the chain.
Alright, so we missed 1 there. Count 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So first you go to the left. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so look for the next hole on the left of the 2 vertical stitches. Through, pull it through. Now you've got 2 loops over the crochet hook. Go through both of them for number 2 and a chain stitch. Alright, just explain that a bit slower, Miss Linda.
Through our two stitches.
How many loops do you...
Says,
okay, so you're looking for your next hole under the chain.
Yes, between the 2 there.
Yeah.
And
now loop it.
so
Wait on, show us that looper that you gather on the other side.
I just grab it with my hook. That's why the hook is so useful.
Now you've got 2 loops over the crochet stitch, and that's completed section 1. Loop round, pull it through to complete section 2, and a chain. Section 3. Okay.
Now we do it all over again. Through the gap.
Pull that through. Now there's 2 loops on the needle, on the crochet hook. Do a loop and pull it through both, and finish with a chain. Alright, good.
Oops, come back.
Okay, so we'll find our next hole under
through the gap. There's 2 loops. Pull it through, and then a chain.
Just go really slowly for this, Miss Linda.
Through the gap. bring a loop through,
got two hooks,
through the loops,
and
and
a chain. And is this the last one? No, we've got two more. Okay, through the under the chain. Now there's two loops on the crochet hook. Pull it through both, loop, chain. Finish. Now we up. No, we've got two more.
Not yet. Almost there. Through with two loops, two stitches, loop through the two, and a
Now do
chain.
This last one really slowly so we can see what happens on this each time. Alright, so through the last hole, wait, show us the wool that you're going to loop around the hook. There it is through the finger.
Just grab it.
Grab it, pull it through the hole. Now there's two loops on the crochet hook. Now she does another loop, pulls that through both, and then finishes with a chain and the last.
And the last one, we have to do it right at the end there. So remember we did two chain at the end? Well, we have to go right through there.
Can you show us how to find that very last one?
Well, you can, if you have a look, you got your two vertical stitches there. They're a little hard to see on it, but they are there.
Yeah.
And right there, where we had done two chain to get up to the next row, that is where we are going through. And we're going to bring it through and then through again.
Now two chain, right?
Now we're going to do two chain to get us up to the next row.
Up to the next row. One,
two.
Now pull the tail through the other way.
There we go.
And we start at the right
and we go. We just keep going backwards and forwards until it is that.
Until it is as long as that. So can we watch you do two rows now, Miss Linda? And you can just go as quickly as you want to, and we'll watch you do the next two rows.
Okay, so we're going to find the gaps, just exactly what we had done before. Just tell me if you need me to slow down. I can do this fairly fast, but I will slow down just a little bit. So it goes through. All crochet.
Every one is three loops. 1, 2, 3.
Crochet is just a series of loops.
2, 3.
And when you have practiced these squares,
1, 2, 3.
Then you will be able to move on and do more advanced stitches, which would require more loops around your hook and just going through, pulling loops through just a little differently, but it's still extremely easy. But once you have this mastered, then you can do all sorts of things.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is the last one?
Yes.
1. Can you just show us how to find that last one again one more time there, Miss Linda? Okay, so
see, there's a little,
this is the hardest, probably the hardest one on the whole row.
Right,
there are the
there's
two
your
vertical
last
stitches.
Yes.
So you go to the left of those, correct?
Yes, there is a little gap right
little
there.
Gap right through there. Loop it around, pull it through 1, and then through 2, and then 2 chains to go up for the next row. All right.
Once again, turn it around.
Turn it around so you can see it gradually growing a little bit longer. And let's do another 2 rows, and then we'll pause the video and wait till you're near the end of this square and come back and show the young entrepreneurs how to finish a square, which is also very simple. Alright, Miss Linda's going down the next row. I'll give her a bit more wool here and keep pulling it off your roll so it's available. There we are. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So each movement consists of 3 loops. 3.
Oh, we're nearly at the end. That didn't take long.
Alright. Now, when do you often do your crocheting, Miss Linda?
I usually do it at night when I have finished all my other chores.
2 chain there.
Probably usually when
Let's put it on top
TV.
of this while you're watching TV, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's put it on there. You can see Miss Linda is starting to make another square 9 inches wide because she started with 30 chain. That's approximately 9 inches. If you're pulling your crochet tighter than Miss Linda, you'll need more to get 9 inches, or if you're looser, you get less. But
you may choose to do smaller squares.
Yeah, you
or
could
larger
do smaller
squares. It doesn't matter.
That's right. Okay, let's keep moving, Miss Linda. We'll do one more row for them. Just go slow again. Through the hole, pull through 1, pull through 2, and a chain. Okay, find the next hole, put the loop through, pull through 1, pull through 2, and a chain. And when I say pull through 1, I mean you've got 2 loops over your crochet hook at the beginning, and I'll show you that in the next one. So right now when she puts it through the hole, stop, go ahead, pull it through the 1, now stop. See, there's 2 loops on there now. Now she does a loop, pulls it through both, and a chain, and now she goes for her next hole. Now it's just, she just pulled it through 1, she's got 2 left on there, loop, pull through both, and a chain. Okay, we need more wool, go ahead. We hope that this has been explanatory and that you can all follow this. When we come back in a moment to finish, we will finish this and start another one just to show you the start again, and we'll go slower again in case you missed it the first time around. Alright. Through the hole, through 1, through 2, and a chain. Through the hole, through 1, through 2, and a chain. And the last one, through the hole, through 1, loop through 2, and 2 chains to go up to the next row. Okay, good. And here it is growing. It's growing out. Okay, so I'm going to let Miss Linda now go till about the second last row, and then we will come back on the video and show you how to finish a square and then start another square, and we'll do that slowly so you can follow. Thank you, Miss Linda, and we'll come right back here in about a few minutes when Miss Linda's finished this square. Alright, here we are back now with Miss Linda having almost finished this blue square. It's just got 2 more rows to go, so why don't you take us through that, Miss Linda? I'll come on this side so they can see.
We're ready to go. We go through the space. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to pull another loop through, and then we're going to do a chain.
Okay, let's just talk about this coming through the first loop. So point to the hole you're going through.
The next hole, there it is right there.
It's right there, and put the crochet hook through, take a loop. Now she's just going to come back through where that loop was. Alright, now she's got 2 loops on the crochet hook. Now her loop around the back and pull the yarn through those and a chain. And again, just this other part, where's the hole? There's the hole. And pull that back through the hole, then through the 2 stitches, and then the chain. Okay, thanks Miss Linda. Let's just finish that row out. And you can say what you're doing here through
the hole.
That's part 1, part 2, part 3 of that stitch, part 1, part 2, part 3.
Now this actual, I will show you, this stitch here, call it a stitch, is called a single crochet, and that one there is a chain. So when you have practiced a lot and you are ready to move on with making other things, and you want to read a crochet pattern, it will say double crochet, single crochet, all sorts of things. This particular one is called a single crochet, and that is a chain.
Alright, so the single crochet starts there, finishes there, and then a chain. Start there, finish there, and a chain. And here's the last one on this row. Alright, and 2 chains to make the last row. Okay.
See, it takes us up to be able to start this next row.
Very good. There's the single crochet, there's the chain. Single crochet stitch, chain.
And as you practice this, you will get faster and faster at doing it. And don't worry if you make mistakes, it is easy just to pull it, take your hook out,
undo
it,
back to where you know you're correct again, and then put the loop over the crochet hook and start going again. Why don't you just back up 2 stitches so they can see what you're talking about? Oops, pretend we've made a mistake.
And just
pull
easy
this
to
out
pull. Just like that.
And go back a stitch.
And then you put your hook through again, and off you go. And it happens to the experienced crocheters. We all make mistakes, and we just go back and fix it up.
I suppose the more complicated the pattern that you're following, sometimes the more easy it is to make a mistake, is it?
But yes, particularly if you lose concentration, perhaps if you're watching TV at the same time.
Alright, now sorry to cut you off, I just want to make sure we get this last one, because this is the end of a square. Now wait, just go find us that hole at the very end again, because that's the hard one to find.
See, there's your 2 vertical.
Okay.
And then it's right in there.
Okay, and now what do? We do our stitch, and through the 2. Now instead of doing a chain to start a new row, you cut that off. What do? You just simply do a half hitch knot through there like that, pull the wool all the way through, and it's tied off.
And now it won't undo.
Okay, now
it's done.
There's that square. Let's put that on top of the orange one. Alright, so now Miss Linda's completed the blue square. Now let's start another one and just go through that start again. And you're going to do a white square this time. And this yarn, as we saw on the label, is the same. What's the term that we use for?
Let me see. There it is.
This. What's that 5 there?
5. It's talking about the thickness of the yarn.
The thickness of the yarn. So the blue was a 5 and the white's a 5. So if you're doing squares of a blanket, probably you want all the different yarns you use should be the same bulk.
Right, this one says bulky. That's number 5.
5 bulky. Good.
And there is your crochet hook size, and actually here's your knitting needle size. And this here tells you how to wash, etc. So you have all the information right there.
On the label of the yarn. Alright, so this is the critical part. Let's see the start again. Okay, you take the end of the crochet in the left hand. Let's see it through your fingers there, Miss Linda. Yeah, okay, through the fingers. Oh, and put the X over the thumb. Alright, put the hook over the top of the end of the yarn and through the top right hand side of the X. Loop the strand around the hook, pull it through and pull the knot tight. Let's do that one more time from scratch, Miss Linda. Okay,
around the thumb.
Put the X on the thumb. Now make sure that this yarn in her right hand is underneath the crochet hook, and then it loops around the back and she pulls it through and then lets everything go to pull it into a knot. Alright, so there's the very beginning. Almost, I know I learned to knit many years ago, and I would equate this to sort of a casting on or beginning knitting. So here we go. We're going to make our first chain, our second chain, our third chain, etc. And we're going to make 30 of those. Pretty simple. Just go slowly and do it one more time. Around, pull it through. Yeah, the chain is very simple. You've seen that in all of the stitches that we've done during the single crochet. We finish with a chain, and this is just doing chain, 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 rather than crochet, single crochet stitch, chain, single crochet stitch, chain, which we're going to do in the next row. This is just chain stitch, chain stitch, chain, 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 and you'll see the difference when we go back along the second row. Alright, it looks like that's getting tight on the left of you. Let me pull it out a bit so you don't. There we go. Let's have a look from this side. It's not quite so easy to see what you're doing from that side. Let's come back here.
And I've lost count.
Alright, so if you lose count, you just count them up. How many do we have there, Miss Linda?
31.
31? Alright, so we'll pull one out. Now we have 30. Now here's the beginning of the next row. So we start by coming back 3 chains. Do you remember? In the first one we did, 1, 2, 3. Push the crochet hook through, and Miss Linda likes to do it so that she ends up with these 2 strands here on top. You could have just gone through one of those. Show us what that would look like that, and would that make a difference?
No, not really.
Yeah, you usually
just like to go through
so
there.
that the 2 are on the top. Make a loop around, pull it through just the chain. Now complete that single crochet stitch by pulling it through there. Let's pull that out again. I'm not sure I got it on the camera very well, so go back to the end of the chain if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Alright, count back 3.
1, 2,
3. Push it through the chain, pull it back through the chain only. Now make a stitch through the 2 loops and a chain, and there's the finish of the 3 parts. And now you're going, whoa, we need to remind them that we only go back 2 now, don't we?
Yes, every second.
So every second chain, pull it through the chain, pull it through the 2 loops and a chain stitch. Go back 2 more, push it through the chain, pull it back through the chain, through the 2 loops, And there. Let me come on the other side, show you what it looks like from this point of view. Through the chain, loop, back through the chain only, now through the 2 loops on the crochet hook and a chain. You see it's 3 parts, if you will, to each stitch. I might be saying that wrong for the crochet connoisseurs, but that's my simple way of thinking about it. You've got 3 parts. Through the chain, make a loop, pull it back through the chain, make a loop, pull it back through the 2 loops that were on the crochet hook, and then another chain stitch. 2 loops, chain. Just go slowly while we talk about it. Through the chain, loop, back through the chain only. Now you've got 2 loops, notice, on the crochet hook. Now do a loop, pull it through both, and then a chain stitch. That gives you your gap for the next row. Okay, through the chain. We'll talk about that on the next row. I'll let Miss Linda finish this row while you watch part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1 through the chain, through the 2 loops, and a chain stitch. Alright, getting near the end, through the chain, part 1, do a loop through the chain, and you go ahead, through there, loop it back through the chain, now the 2 loops, and now the chain stitch. Good, and another 2, back 2 more, through the chain, through the 2 loops, chain. Now, is this the last one?
Yes.
Yes. Alright, so we'll do something a little different here. We go through the chain, and now we go different. We want 2 chain stitches as we go up for the next row. There they are, 2 chain. And Miss Linda turns it around. Now, what she's got to find now is that gap in the next row that is created by that chain stitch. There's 1. No, show us 2 or 3. There's another one, and there's the next one. Now, how do we find them? Remember those vertical stitches? There and there, and there and there. Well, it's between 2 sets of vertical stitches. There it is. Miss Linda pokes it through the, instead of going through the, well, I guess you're still going through the chain stitch below, aren't you? Still through chain.
Yes.
Yeah, show us with your finger the hole, if you don't mind. There we go, you can find it. If you don't know where to put the crochet hook, then push your finger through the hole. Pull it through the chain, pull it through the 2 loops, and a chain stitch to give you the hole in the next row. Continue with the next one. Where are those vertical stitches, Miss Linda? Let's have a look there. Can we just show those?
Right there.
2 verticals here and 2 verticals there with the hole right between them. Here we go. Push it through the chain. Alright, now just slow it down the chain stitch. Through the chain, a loop, back through the chain and stop. Well, okay, carry on. We'll stop on the next one. Okay, through the chain, loop, pull through and stop. Okay, now we have two loops. We do a loop around the hook and pull it through the 2 loops and a chain. Alright, so this part might be the tricky part. Through there and stop. No, show them how you just pull it through the chain and stop. The first one goes through the chain, round the hook and back through the chain only, and leaving the original loop that was on the crochet hook and gaining a second one. Now you do a loop and come back through both of those and then a chain. And very slowly the first part through your hole in the chain, back through the chain only, that's it, and then through the 2 loops and then chain. Thanks, Miss Linda. If you could finish that row out. So she's going to go through each of the chain stitches in the row that she completed before until she gets to the end. And remember, at the very end, when you finish the single crochet stitch, you do 2 chains to go up the side to the next row, and I think it's this one. So she's going to finish her single crochet first through the chain, make a loop, finish the single crochet. Now 2 chain, 1, 2, and we'll do one more row for you before we'll pause the video and let Miss Linda finish this square. There's 1, through the chain, through the 2 loop, new chain stitch, through the chain, through the 2 loops, and a chain. There we go. Very good. So this single crochet stitch is pretty simple. You go through the chain, through the 2 loops, and finish with another chain stitch. Through the chain, through the 2 loops, through and a chain stitch. There it is. There's the single crochets. So the single crochet is the parts 1 and 2 of this, isn't it?
Yes.
Through part 1, part 2, there's the chain stitch, there's the single crochet stitch, and followed by the chain stitch. Single crochet part A, single crochet part B, chain stitch, and the last one. And now Miss Linda does 2 chain. 1, 2, and off she goes on the next row. Alright, so we will pause the video here and let Miss Linda finish the, what you've made, is that 2 rows or 3?
2.
That's 2 rows plus the chain on the bottom. So now Miss Linda's going to do another, let's see, we'll leave 2s, and you've stuck 30, so you'll be about another 25, and then we'll show you the last 2 rows of this again, and we'll come back in a moment. Miss Linda just has 2 rows now to complete this white square, so let's go down the row with her so you can see the very end again. So you continue going down through the chain, through the 2 loops, chain stitch. No. You should know how to find the hole that you poke the crochet hook through in the chain below to make your new row on top. Let's just review it one last time.
So it might be easier to see it with this white one.
Yeah, if you pull it a little tight from the end there. Okay, you can kind of see them laid out there. There are the holes. Miss Linda's kind of laid them out. There we go. It's just continuous loops. As Miss Linda said earlier in the video, crochet is just a series of loops, tying everything together in an organized way. And here comes our second last. We've got one more row, don't we, after this one?
One more row.
Yeah, so through here now we're going to build our side with 2 chains. 1, 2, and then over we go. Last row coming up of this square. Very simple single crochet really. Once you get the hang of it, you'll find this very easy and very quick. And there are all kinds of things that you could potentially make with this for yourself. Of course, we're making a blanket for a bed. We've already mentioned that we could make a scarf just by altering the parameters of the square. And of course, it would be a very long oblong, or so what else could you use squares for, Miss Linda?
Oh, you can make excuse me, blankets of various sizes. You could do baby blankets. You could make one large enough where it could be like a comforter for your bed. You could do a decorative pillow that you could use on your couch. You could also use one for the bed.
Now wait, here's our last one. Let's just pause through the very end. Show us how you find that end one more time, please, Miss Linda. That's tricky, all right? There's through the very last, on the left hand side of those two vertical stitches, right on the outside. Do and complete the single crochet there, and now cut this off, scissors, there we go, and now it's very simple. We'll just do that again. It's very simple. Just make a single loop and pull it all the way through, so that now you have a knot to pull a little bit tight, and there it is. That is the finish of the next square. Let's put that on top of the orange and the blue. Bring them over. Let's have a look. They're all the same size. Now, if your sizes vary a little in the beginning, it's because your tension is not consistent all the way through the square, and that will happen to beginners. You'll pull some stitches too tight, you'll leave others too loose, and it's just a matter of gaining experience to get the tension on all of your stitching the same. And that's where the fingers moving along, pulling and preventing the pull help to keep the tension consistent all the way. Now let's see what those will look like if you put those side by side, Miss Linda, because the next thing that we're going to show you is how to join them together. But first, Miss Linda's got to go and crochet another 27 of these, because how are you going to make this blanket, Ms. Linda? What are the dimensions, and how many squares across the width and how many down the length?
I am planning 5 across and then 6 rows.
Okay, 5 across the width. 5 of these squares will be joined together across the width of the blanket, and they'll be 6 long. So we've got a bit of work ahead of us now to crochet another 27 of these to get our 30. And so we will pause again here and make the other squares, and then we're going to come back and show you how to join them together. Okay, this is Miss Linda and Mark signing off for now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We are back with the 30 squares that Miss Linda has made, and you can see there are all kinds of colors as she was using up yarn for this project. So there's light green, light blue, dark blue, white, orange, and another color in there, I'm sure, somewhere. So this is the way Miss Linda's decided to sew them together. There's a kind of a blue diagonal that goes through here, and there's an orange diagonal that kind of goes through here. There's 2 orange on this end, 2 dark blue on that end. There's a little bit of pattern here, but one thing Miss Linda wants you to know, you talk about it, Miss Linda, is the direction of the squares. So let's look on this white one, it's easy to see.
Alright, if you remember, you went backwards and forwards like that, and if you look very carefully, you can see your little verticals. Well, this is going to be the way up. So you have to make sure that they're all the same.
So you line them up.
All facing the same way. And that one is That one.
So to my eye, these rows all run vertically. Just as I look at them, I can kind of see a row going along here, and in this one I can see a row going along here, and the same in the green here, and of course in the white you can see the rows running vertically. Alright, so let's go through here and see. Here's one that's going in the wrong direction, and definitely this white one.
That one's right.
Alright, so this white one's got to be turned around. It's running horizontally. Same with that. Okay, so we're going through and aligning them all so they're running in the same direction. That one, yeah. There we go. Miss Linda's turning them so that we get them all running in the same direction, each square. And there we have it. Alright, so Miss Linda's going to start, she likes to start, I think, by sewing these rows across here together. So while Miss Linda's just getting that ready, I'm going to put these on top of each other out of the way a little bit, so that we've got them all in rows from 1 to 5, as it were. And one more. Alright, so this row here is going to get sewn together. So Miss Linda, why don't you tell us what you're going to do? What are you going to use? There are options for doing this. Could you speak about the options?
Well, seeing we have all different colours, we could use just the blue and do all of them blue, but it wouldn't be so good if we had blue sewing these two together or these two together. So I'm going to use... So you're talking about the yarn that goes between them? Yes, the ones that are going to sew together.
Yes, so you wouldn't put a blue yarn between the white and the green, is what you're saying?
You could, but I choose not to.
Yes.
So I'm going to, we've got tails where we started and where we finished. So I'm going to use these tails and sewing together.
All right.
Now you're going to have a few tails, like if I use this one, this blue, this we're not going to need, the white one. So what I'm going to do, choose a needle that has a large hole that's called an eye. It's the eye of the needle.
Alright, so your yarn needs to be able to go through the eye of the needle. So you'll need a needle that has a large enough eye for the yarn to go through. Okay, and that's really the only stipulation about the needle.
So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to get rid of this.
So instead of just cutting that tail off, what risk do you is possible if you just cut it off, Miss Linda?
Your work is just going to come undone.
No, eventually, with wear and tear in the washing machine or use, those knots will come undone. So let's go very slowly and show them what you're doing. Please explain it.
I'm just going to sew it in.
What does that mean, sew it in?
Well, as you can see, I've just taken my needle.
So Miss Linda's running the needle down through the row on the very end. That's what she means by running it in.
And then I'm pulling just going to through. Pull it.
And how far do you need to run it? Are you going to run it all the way?
Nope, that's it.
So how many rows did you run it? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 rows I count there. And then cut that off.
And that's
Alright,
it.
so what Miss Linda did then was to take the end that already finishes in a knot and to push it back through the square on the outside, about 5 rows, 6, 7, doesn't matter, so that there's a lot sewn in and it can't come undone. Now she's going to use the blue tail, put that through the eye of the needle, to sew the white one and the blue one together. Remember, going in the same orientation, the stitching going in the same orientation. Now just explain exactly what you're doing here, Miss Linda.
Well,
don't get ahead of us.
I'm going to catch the white square, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to get some of the blue square like that, and I'm just going to go up and down.
Okay, so well, this might seem like second nature to you, but if someone's never done this before, be very careful in how you explain this.
Well,
so she's just come up through a white, she just come up through the white. Now she's going to go back down through here in the blue. Okay, just under a strand or two, and then pull that, not too tight. Now up through the white, now back through the blue. Okay, through the white. And this is called sewing it together. There is another way to do this, but we thought it was a little bit more difficult for a beginner to master, and that is you can crochet them together.
And if you do that, you'll end up with
little ridges.
Ridges like that, and we don't always want that on a blanket.
See that? Put that ridge back so we can actually see what
you'd end up with a ridge like that.
I don't know if that's very obvious in this light, but
if
you crochet it together, you'll get a ridge pattern between. So if you sew it, you don't. Alright, so first she goes up through the white, and then up through the blue, pulling them together gently, not too tight, up through the white. And does it matter where you poke the needle?
No.
No. Does it matter how far it is between stitches?
You don't want it too far, or otherwise it just won't lay flat. It'll won't hold well together.
So how far are you actually doing it? Between?
1/4 inch.
Oh, I think it's less than that. But I'd say it's more like 1/8 of an inch by what I see. Okay. Because if you pull it tight, you'll see gaps in it if the stitches are too far apart.
You don't really want that.
Alright, so do you see how Miss Linda's doing this? She's pushing it through the blue, now through the white. And each time she's pushing the needle, the sharp point of the needle into the body of the square that she's cutting, or into the blue, into the white. Show us that direction. So the sharp part of the needle's now in the white, and it's coming from the very edge of the white into the square, from the very edge of the blue into the blue, from the very edge of the white into the white, from the very edge of the blue into the blue. Do you see the direction the needle goes each time? Alright, she's almost sewing these two together. Now what are you going to do with that leftover wool? Are you just going to pull it back through the blue?
I'm going to do what I did.
Don't you come down here?
I was going to go that way, but it doesn't matter, I guess.
Oh, alright. Well, she wants to come back down the row this way, pushing it 5 or 6 or 7 rows in. You wouldn't put a little knot on the end first?
No, I'm not going to.
You just sew it in, okay. And then cut it off where it pokes out. Alright, so let's look at the next one. There's two squares sewn together, and let's do the green. Now, what you could use that tail if you flip it over.
Now, here's something.
Mm-hmm.
When I made this one, I ran out of yarn with the first ball I was using.
You had about, looks like 2 or 3 rows
right.
to go.
So I had to join in another ball of yarn.
Alright.
So I tied them together and just carried on.
How did you do a reef knot?
Yes.
Okay, it's a reef knot. But Miss Linda's not going to trust that reef knot to hold.
I can't tuck that. If I cut this off, guess what?
It'll come undone. It potentially can come undone. So now she's going to take the ends that she left and just sew them in down the row.
Just what I had done with the other tails.
Sew
just
them.
Like that.
Sew them in. And what did you go? 4 rows down? About that.
Couple of stitches.
And now she's going to do the same with the other end. Don't just cut them off at the knot, or you'll have it unravel sometime in its lifetime. Sew it in and pull it out, and if there's any little bit left off, just snip it off. And you now cannot see that there's a join in there.
See?
But
you can't see it.
But what it has done is to protect the knot where the 2 ends of the yarn are tied together. Now Miss Linda has 2 tails, and in green, and a tail in white, and she's got to decide if she's going to use the white or the green to sew the green to the white.
I think I might. Well, this one is here. I think I will use this one.
Use the green?
Simply because I'm right-handed.
Okay, so she wants to go from her left to the right. I'm going to come now over her shoulder and show you it from the position where you would be doing the sewing. I think I can come this way. So you'd be on this side here doing the sewing. Now, okay, the point of the needle always goes into the square that she's sewing. Now it'll come towards her into the white. Okay, and I'm going to the other side because
my hands are in the way.
Yeah, well, now she's pushing it through the green. Now she'll pull it towards her and through the white. And you might get a bit of a look at how far apart these stitches are from this side. When you bring the green, the green into the white, Miss Linda, could you show us a mistake where you pull it too far in?
Meaning if I take...
Yes, if you bring... No, pull it...
Too tight?
No. Come in here too far before you come out. In other words, you just want to take...
Like this?
Yeah, something like that, but that's a very gross example. Yes, like that. Okay?
No, we just need to...
No, but if you do... So, you don't want to do this, all right? Have a look, pull it through. You can easily take it out. All right, so now go into the green, and look what happens.
You'll be able to see that.
If you come too far into the white, you're going to see the green stitching going all the way down this row. So Miss Linda's going to pull that out and thread the needle again. And so the point that we're making here is...
Now here, let me just show you something, a little trick here. It's going to be very hard to try and push
all that fuzzy thing through the needle. You could cut it off.
So what I do is I just bend it over and then push it through.
Okay, so do that again. You bend it over the needle and make a nice tight bundle. There, so, and pull that tight.
So just push it over.
Yeah, and pull that tight, then push that through the needle.
And it comes through
very easily. So you just want to come into this white a little way so you don't see it, and when you loop it back over.
But you also need enough that it's just not going to rip as well.
Yeah. Keep working your way down. So this is kind of the exciting part, when you start to sew the squares together and you see the blanket starting to take shape, starting to look a bit more like a single entity rather than a bunch of squares. And again, this is called sewing them together as opposed to crocheting them together, which is possible. So there are alternatives, and as you can see, you've got alternate ways of sewing them together. You could alternate the stitching vertical, horizontal if you wanted to. Be creative. We like to have them all going the same way in this particular project. It just looks a little better. And right now, with using these yarns up, we really have an abstract kind of a pattern to our blanket. And
you might just want to use perhaps 2 colours.
Yes, so another one might be blue and a dark blue and white. That would make it pretty, or a dark green and white, or the blue and the orange.
I have made a blanket with
Blue and orange.
Blue and orange.
Yeah.
Also, I have done one with a light blue, dark blue and white.
But the blue and orange, why did you do that one?
This is college colours.
That was the colours of 2 of our sons' colleges. Happened to be the same colours, and so when Miss Linda made them blankets to go off to college with, she used the college colours. But here we were just using up yarn for this project, and okay, so now we're going to finish this off by sewing it in, or pushing it down a few rows, as you see Miss Linda doing, down a good length of the row, and pulling that through. Remember, don't pull too tight or you'll gather it all together, and cut that off, and it's nice and safely in there. So let's look at what we've got so far. We've got 3 squares sewn together. What are you going to do with these tails? Are you going to sew those
I
in
am
too?
going, no, not yet, because
Okay.
we have to
You may
sew
use
this
them,
row
yeah.
together, and we may use them when we're sewing the rows together.
Okay, so we're not going to cut these tails because we might use them. All right, shall we do one more, Miss Linda?
Alright.
Let's do one more, and then we'll pause the video while you complete most of the rest of them, because it's a repetitive type of operation. All right, so she's chosen to use a tail of the blue, so to go to light blue to light green. Again, pull the needle towards you. Be careful you don't stick it up your fingernail or in your finger, or pull it into your chest as you're doing this. You do have a sharp instrument, and it can be dangerous if you're not careful. Right. So you're just pushing it in a little way, but enough to get a good hold on it, so that it won't fray and pull apart during use and washing. It needs to. So we'll just stop and look at the next green that you put it through, Miss Linda, and get a look at how much you're putting it through. Very slowly here. Go ahead, put your needle in, and then just stop with the needle in. Alright, so you can see there how much of the green that she is using. A good solid couple of loops of that crochet, so that it won't break it with use. And pull that, and again, the tension that you use here is Critical, doesn't want to be too tight, doesn't want to be too loose. And so when you, I guess when you cut the ends off, when you're making the squares, you've cut them with a length in mind, haven't you, Miss Linda?
I have.
So you don't just cut them off very, very short.
No, because once again it may unravel, and if you are making something that needs to be sewn together, you can use those tails for sewing.
But it could be that you don't want to use the tails for sewing. You'd rather use a contrasting color or something for sewing. I don't know, that's up to you, but so in that case you would make your knot, and then you would sew that tail back down the row so that there wasn't any possibility of the knot coming undone.
That's right.
But here Miss Linda has cut her tails with the end in mind of using them for sewing it together as she is doing. And we're almost done this one. And what do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we might as well do one row for this video and show, so we've got one more to do after this. Miss Linda's making sure that she puts the needle through enough of the edges of each piece so that there's no possibility of it breaking or fraying and coming apart. Now we have that much left over. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to sew it back down. And you usually like to go back down through the middle of where you've sewn, don't you, Miss Linda?
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
So here we go. She's going to push it down through there. 4 or 5, 6, 7 rows, however far the needle will reach. So it's safely tucked in away in there and can't undo. And we'll snip that off now because there's nowhere for it to go. Alright, so let's do our last piece on this particular end of the blanket, which is 5 squares wide. This will be the 5th square, so you're going to, the only possibility here is to use the dark blue, isn't it? Because there's no light blue tail on those ends.
The other tail down.
So we'll be using the dark blue tail. Miss Linda threads the needle, puts her corners together like this. Now the other thing that Miss Linda hasn't mentioned, but which she's cognizant of as she's doing this, is that she wants the 2 corners at the far end to meet at the end. And so if for any reason, well, let's just make an exaggerated case, it looks like this, by the time you get to the end, then you're going to have to undo the sewing and start again. So as you're going down, you want to make sure that you sew it together such that you end up with the both ends being flush, adjacent together, where one isn't longer than the other. So we're constantly monitoring that as we go down the row and making slight tiny little adjustments as we go, as Miss Linda just did there, looking at this end. I'll catch her doing it the next time. She's just going to have a look to the left here now and make sure it's going to meet up, yeah, so that she can adjust all the way down the row. These are things that if you've been doing this for a long time, you just do it instinctively, what we would call, by a sports analogy, by muscle memory, because you're not really processing it in your brain anymore. You just do it. And so it's important that we try to explain that to you as we go here. Because Miss Linda's probably not even thinking about it, she's just doing it. After all these years of making things like this. There she just made a little adjustment to make sure the ends are going to be flush at the end of the sewing of this row. And we're almost done. There's another little adjustment she's making to make sure everything matches up well. And then in a moment we'll lay this row out and show you what it looks like. And then Miss Linda will complete the next 6 rows, or 5 rows, having done the first one. And at that point we'll come back and show you how to sew 2 rows together. Alright, there's the last stitch going in here. Let's see the ends. Did they come together nicely? Yes, let's lay them down on them. There we are. They're nice and straight and as we go. Now Miss Linda will finish that by bringing the yarn up through the middle of that row, mostly in the dark blue side of it, all the way down the length of the needle. Pull it through and snip it off. Alright, lay that whole row out, Miss Linda, and let's have a look at it. And put it straightish. There we go. That's what it looks like now. All sewn together. And there are tails still on there, as you see, to be used for sewing this row to the next one. So, Miss Linda, are you going to make 6 rows like this, or are you now going to sew in the next row into this one square by square?
No, I think we'll do the rows first, and then we'll just put the rows, sew the rows on.
Alright, so Miss Linda now has a sewing job to sew the rest of these rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more rows together, just like this one. And then we'll come back and show you how we sew the rows together, which is very similar. And then you'll see the final product. So for now, we're signing off to do a little more work, and we'll be right back. Well, we're back here now. Miss Linda's actually sewn 3 rows to this point, and so we'll set this 3rd one aside for now. And we'll just show you now how you can sew 2 rows together. Alright, Miss Linda.
Just turn it this way, it'll be a whole lot easier for me.
Easier, okay.
Because I'm right-handed.
There we go. So now, she's going to work from right to left, being right-handed.
Now, here is something that we have come across. We have a tail here, but we don't have a tail here. And I could use this one, or I could use it on there, but I do like to go this way simply because I'm right-handed. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the green from the ball of yarn.
So just look ahead though, because now after you're doing the first one, you do have a tail that will go from right to left this way. You've got a tail that'll go from right to left this way. You've got 2 tails that could go from right to left this way. And then again you'll have to borrow one for this far end because we don't have one. But basically you'll get the next 3 with tails that are perfect.
Well, except that one's green. I'll turn it round and I can still do
well, okay. So Miss Linda's going to
this way I'm just going to show you how, if you need extra yarn, how to start it off. Now, this is the seam that I'm going to use. So I'm going to just turn it like this. I'm going to weave it in. just like we weaved it at the very end. So I'm going to start that way.
Alright.
And now I'm going to be sewing.
Can we do that one more time, Miss Linda? So about the length of the needle, she's weaving it in, or as we've called it, sewing it in, from 5 or 6 rows downstream of the corner. And now there's a good lot of yarn underneath there that isn't going to come out because, if you'll notice, wait a second, she came in here. Now it's going to get sewn in as she sews down here, so that will hold it in there.
So just be careful that you don't pull now very tight, because you'll just pull it out. So what I'm going to do is just go over this end bit here just a couple of times, and that will just hold things firm.
Right.
And now we just do what we did when we joined them this way.
Okay, now again Miss Linda's paying attention to the length of the 2 squares, so that when she gets to the far end they're going to be corner to corner flush without an overlap. Because if you don't do that and you overlap and you sort of push one strip all the way to the right relative to the one on top, you'll end up with a lot of overhang at the far end, and that won't be very good. So we want to make sure each square that are being sewn together start at the corner in a straight line and finish at the corner in a straight line. And it's the same kind of sewing so that you're really pulling the ends of the squares together by this method of entering in through the end and pushing it out. You're pulling the ends together by this method of sewing. So by now she has sewn in well and truly that first bit of yarn that she weaved into the square. It's all now caught up within the sewing as well, and it's good and solid in there. Plus she did a couple of stitches in the starting corner to solidify it even more. So Miss Linda's adjusting the 2 sides as she goes, so that by the time she gets to the end, and I'll come around to show you the end bit, they are going to be perfectly flush together. There we go. Now you could use one piece of yarn for the entire length of the blanket if you wanted to. But with the different colors and the squares and so on and so forth, you're not going to be able to use a piece of yarn that's the same color as everything that you down the length. And so this way of using pieces that are at least the same as one color, it's pretty invisible, the sewing at the end of the day. Right, there's the end of that square, so now Miss Linda has to do a finish. And of course she's going to weave it back down just under the green of the side. There it is, that she finishes on. Alright, just as we did before, and then snip it off, and she is now done the first squares. Alright, now she'll put her needle under this dark blue strand that goes from right to left very conveniently, and those 2 corners are of course going to be together because they are constrained by the sewing of the previous 2, but Miss Linda nevertheless has to pay attention to the other end as she works her way along. There we go. So pull the ends of the squares together with this method of sewing. She's paying attention to these corners now. It's too late when you're half an inch from the end and you see a half an inch overlap. You've got to pull it all out and start again. So you must start paying attention to the far corners right from the beginning of the sewing of those edges together. Alright. She's halfway down the second square. It doesn't take too long. Just be careful with the needle, young ones, because we've all pushed a needle into our fingers, haven't we, Miss Linda?
Yes, we have. Easy to do.
It is.
Oops, I don't think I'm going to have quite enough.
You're not?
Nope. I'm going to have to stop there.
We'll have to see what you do here. Are you going to tie it?
Nope.
No, you're just going to weave it in and then start from there?
Weave it in as if it was
Right, so that's a good thing to see on the way through. I think you're going to have the same trouble with the next one as well. Okay, so snip that off. Be careful, of course, that you don't cut your work, your crochet square anywhere. Now,
so, why don't we use this?
And go backwards?
And go back.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not going to use it there.
No, it's the wrong colour.
It's the wrong colour.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to turn it round.
Well,
Make it easy for myself.
You thought we were going left to right, didn't you?
I'm still going left to right. Well, right to left.
Yeah, by flipping the whole blanket around, it took care of the problem. So there's lots of tricks to the trade, young ones, that you will learn over the years. We hope that this is something that many of you enjoy doing, and you'll be able to make some money with this type of a project. I'm sure that family members would like to have pieces that you've put together in your youth as mementos.
Doesn't have to be a blanket. No. Because a blanket is a big undertaking.
I mean, another good use for this kind of thing is as a pet blanket. You could make one the size for a cat. We could make one the size for a dog. You could make it as a cover for a couch.
You could do something smaller and make it into a pillow. Mm-hmm. Or something decorative pillow for your bed. You could make it into a bag. The options are endless.
Alright, let's look at those 4 that have been put together so far. You see, they match up at the ends here. And so Ms. Linda's going to work her way down here, and we'll come back in just a little bit and show you the very end, because we don't want this video to be too long. So we'll pause here as she does these with another piece of yarn that she's going to cut off. Or in fact we have one, so we'll flip this around again, Miss Linda.
Yes, I'll do that.
Yes, we'll flip it.
That one I'll use for there. This one
we'll flip around and come back.
So I still have pieces here that I can use if I need to. If there are any that I do not use, I just weave in and cut off.
Well, let's just start this one off. Flip the whole thing around. Okay, you want to go that way. We'll start that one off, and we'll, as you get 2 or 3 stitches down the length of this, I'll pause as we finish these squares off. Alright, we'll pause now as Miss Linda's got 3 more squares to finish the length of this blanket off in this direction, and we'll be back near the end. We're back again near the end of this project. So Miss Linda's only got 1 more square to sew in the entire blanket. And you've seen this before, so it's not going to be anything new. We just want you to see the final seam being sewn in the blanket, and then we've got to check it for any tails that are still hanging around the blanket. I see one over there, and we're going to show you what to do with those, which by now you should be anticipating. You don't just cut them off, but you sew them in and then snip them off, and it's finished. And so we're going to show you this entire project here as soon as Miss Linda runs down the seam, and you'll see what it looks like. And I told you earlier in the video that Miss Linda was using up yarn, and hence some of the many colors. But another advantage that you will be able to see is how the entire blanket looks when it's sewn together. That corner to corner, seam to seam, it's easier to see with all the different colors that just how it ends up with the corners being so much together all the way through the project. I don't know if that made sense, but it is easy in doing this kind of thing, if you're not paying attention, to end up with overlaps down the seams if you're not very careful. Like that. And you don't want that. So you'll be able to see throughout the entire blanket that there are none of those overlaps, because the different colors make it easier to see that. If you could have chosen to have made this blanket out of one color, you could have used
2 colors,
different kinds of squares, different shape and size of squares. It's just there's nothing about the 9-inch square or the 30 chain that we used here that you need to follow. If you want to make it a different size, then you can. And of course you can always make it out of one big crochet, but it's unwieldy to manage. Alright, there's that last corner coming together. What will you do with that end piece there, Miss Linda?
That has to be woven.
Now it's an orange end piece, so you'll run it back down through the orange side of that seam, won't you?
Oh yes,
otherwise you'll see it in the white, of course. So there it is, the last one sewn in. Miss Linda's just going to have a quick look over the entire blanket now for any other ends other than that one, but she's going to deal with them just like she did that. There's a blue one up there. Let's take care of him. So she'll put the needle on, and she will just run it down the outside edge. Oh no, probably the inside. There we go. Down the blue on the inside edge there. Pull that through and snip it off, and that one's done. Do you think there are any more loose ones?
We have to have a look.
Let's have a look throughout the project and see if we have any more.
Let's see if there's any on this side. Oh, there's one.
Oh, we see one over here. Oh, let me come round. There's a white one dangling here, so that'll be the very last one, I think.
We'll turn it over and we'll look and see.
Turn it over too? Okay. So down the inside seam into the color of the tail. That is white in this case, so you don't see it. Snip it off. Now Miss Linda will throw it over, see if there are any other tails tucked in anywhere. I don't see any.
No.
Let's have a look down. No, what about down this inside seam?
No, I don't see.
Alright, so let's put it out on the table and let's see how it ended up. There it is. There's a blanket. And you can see our blue, dark blue diagonal going through there. You can see that we've got our orange diagonal going through that way, and there's the blanket. We hope you have enjoyed this video. We encourage you to try crochet to make something like this. Perhaps start out with something for your pet bed. It's a little smaller, and then you can get bigger and bigger. And make one for your own bed. Maybe you've got school colors. You'd like to put your school logo into it if you're very creative at sewing that way and at crochet. So that's how we do a crocheted blanket made with squares using crochet one stitch. Well, thank you very much for watching. We hope that you will be able to make use of this technique to add to your store of goods to sell in your entrepreneurial enterprise. Till next time, you'll find this video as well as many others at fvinstitute.org, the Freedom and Virtue Institute's website. Click on the YouTube icon, go to the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see many other videos of arts and crafts and cooking, and we'll continue to bring them to you. Bye for now.